And let's start with the basics. What is the minimum wage? In a few words, Marbelis, how would you describe life in Japan?
Children know how to sew, children know how to carve wood. Okay, they teach them music, all the instruments.
Could you see yourself going back to Venezuela? Hey, it's my dream. Really?
My dream is to go back to Venezuela and buy myself a little house near the beach.
I really can't believe this. Seriously, it's like God is literally playing on our team. I mean, he's totally on our side. God, he's crazy, man. If you guys had seen the weather report for all these days in Japan, would you believe it? They messed up, to put it nicely. How are they going to do that tour that week? Obviously, you plan a tour a year in advance. You don't know it's going to rain that week. But it was the week of the pink cherry blossoms, as you could see in the previous video, where we focused on seeing a lot of pink cherry blossoms. Beautiful, but we've had good weather every day. So impressive, right? And right now I'm greeting you from Osaka. It's not Osaka, like I had thought my whole life until today. It's Osaka. In this new video, we're going to find out what life is like in Japan. A Venezuelan, Marbelis, has been our travel guide during this trip in Japan, and she's already been living here for 13 years. And I want her to tell me everything, starting with how much money you need to live here, how much you earn, how much you spend. Everything, even the culture shocks. What were her biggest challenges and strengths after moving to this country? No, everything. Stay tuned because it's going to be very, very entertaining. And of course, we'll be touring Osaka and Kyoto. We start at this iconic place that I'm going to show you twice. First, right now during the day. The super famous Glycos sign, which has been here since 1935, is about to turn 100 years old since it was installed. And obviously, it was a huge sensation. It was super technological and innovative for its time, and it has survived, look, world wars. It has literally survived everything, and it's still there. Now, at night, it lights up a lot. We're in Dotonbori, the name of this very popular area of Osaka. Keep watching as we continue exploring Pai Nippon. Check out this particular feature. In the Osaka subway, during rush hour, there's a car that's only for women, and it's to prevent two things. First, it's to prevent physical contact from men, which apparently is a bit of a problem in this country when it comes to women. And second, to prevent people from taking photos under their skirts. In fact, I don't know if it's the same in Japan, but I do know that in Korea, the sale of iPhones is prohibited. Without a fully silent mode, meaning you can't put your camera on silent, photos will always make a sound if you buy a phone in Korea. And I think the same applies here in Japan. And it's precisely to prevent people from putting their phone under someone's skirt and taking pictures. That's why, look, there are train cars during rush hour right now. Well, even though you only see women, actually men and women can ride together, but what is it? In the early hours of the morning before leaving for work, and in the late afternoon when coming back from work, men can't get on that train car. From there...
That's where she stayed. She stayed there.
She stayed, no, alone, no.
No, we lost a traveler. Well, she didn't get lost. She stayed at the previous station. Now, since we're a cool group and we're relaxed, we decided to get off at the next station to wait for her. She's on her way, and then we'll continue the route. But really, honestly, the metro and public transportation here in general works so well, so precisely with the schedules, that if you're even a little bit out of it, if you're not 100% alert, look, it'll leave you behind. And of course, there are 17 of us, including Marbelis, and obviously it gets complicated because while some of us are getting on, if the train is exactly on time, well, it closes its doors. So, oh well, we'll just have to wait a bit, no stress. Look at this crazy thing that happens in Japan. If you saw the previous video, you saw the escalators. You stand on the left side, well, that's in Tokyo. In Osaka, you stand on the right side. The other side is for people who are running, just like in the rest of Western countries. I mean, in our country.
Lado derecho, quien está apurado pasa por el lado izquierdo.
No, but in Tokyo, it's more like, let's say, the UK system. A system where you don't stop. But it's strange that the way of doing things changes in different cities. Japanese culture is very interesting and it's super complicated to understand on a first trip. We're on our second trip to Japan and we're still wide-eyed, ears open and learning everything we can. Alright travelers, you've already seen Marbelis in previous videos, you've seen her in our Instagram stories, but I want to formally introduce this amazing Venezuelan Marbelis who's guiding us here in Japan and has been here for many years. But Marbelis, tell me, how did you get to Japan?
Well, I arrived in Japan 13 years ago through my husband. His mother is Japanese and his father is Venezuelan. We met in Venezuela, we got married, and he got a job opportunity here in Japan. So we decided to come and try our luck. It was supposed to be for 3 years and now it's been 13 years.
How long had his mother been living in Venezuela, and in which part of Venezuela did they live?
We are from Ciudad Bolivar.
Both of you?
Both of us.
Okay.
His mom met his dad here in Japan. My husband's dad came here to study.
Okay.
On a scholarship a long time ago, and they met, fell in love, got married, and had my husband. He was born here in Japan.
Okay.
And when he was 12 years old, they moved to Venezuela.
Okay.
And I can tell you he had been living in Venezuela for about 28 years back then, or maybe 25.
Okay, and then they decided to come here.
Yes.
What did you do in Venezuela if you worked? Because I don't know how old you were when you came before coming to Japan.
In Venezuela, I studied business administration at the university. I graduated in business administration. And I also participated in some beauty pageants over there in Venezuela.
Okay.
I worked as a model and I worked for Plum Rose.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
And well, after that, in 2013, like in 2012 or 2013, you decided to come.
Yes, in 2013.
Was there a specific reason you decided to come here?
Well, when I met my husband, I didn't know we were going to come to Japan. I knew his mom was Japanese, but we never thought about moving here, just visiting. He got a job opportunity here. And, well, we decided to try our luck and see how things would go for us. Honestly, Japan welcomed us with open arms, and it's a country I'm very grateful to.
In a few words, Marbelis, how would you describe life in Japan?
Very calm, very safe, but I do miss that warmth, that affection that we Venezuelans, that we Latinos have. And that's it. That's what's missing here to be happy.
I'm going to tell you something. She tells me that life is very calm, but I feel it's very hectic. I have a lot of questions, but it's true that tourism is not the same as immigration, so I want you to tell me what we're going to do today. Let's start the tour, and as we go along, we'll ask you more things.
Well, right now we are in the city of Kyoto, known as the ancient capital of Japan. Before Tokyo, as we all know it now, became the capital. Here we are going to Kiyomizu-dera, which is one of the most important temples here in the Kyoto area, and one of the oldest with 1,200 years of history.
Wow!
See. We are going to walk through its streets. We will go to Minensaka Street, Sanensaka, and we will also go to Yanaka. Pagoda, which is a pagoda that everyone should recognize, is the typical postcard pagoda with the little streets and old houses of Japan. We are going to see that today.
All right, let's get started then.
Let's go.
It's impressive how clean the bus windows are.
I mean,
if you space out, you stick your head out and hit yourself on the glass thinking the window is open. Impressive.
guys, we are in the Gion district, known as the neighborhood where the geishas are. Geishas have existed since the year 794 when Kyoto was the capital of Japan. This period was called the Heian period. Japan has had several periods as the years have passed, usually marked by an important historical event or when we change emperors. They originated in this period, in the Heian period, and they are known for being artists. Commonly abroad, we know them as women who can offer services to men, right? But that's completely wrong. They are artists. They train from a very young age. First, they go from being maiko, who are geisha apprentices, and then later they become geishas. They have to learn about art, culture, dance, all of this to provide a companionship service. It's more like going to a theater. They come, perform the dance, and play the shamisen, which is a musical instrument from here in Japan. They learn to play it, they learn to perform the tea ceremony, which is also an art in itself. And they are in charge of that here in Japan. They are highly respected. In this area, if we're lucky, we might be able to see some, but when we see them, we have to be very careful. They are respected, the Japanese respect them a lot, and no photos. No photos because they don't like it either. They can start at around 8 or 9 years old.
But the parents make the decision.
It's their decision. Nowadays, you hardly see geishas anymore, but there are still many women who like it because it's an art. It's like saying an actress in our country, she's an artist. They decide for themselves. I mean, they start as apprentices. If they want to become geishas, it's their decision when they're adults.
I mean, they don't offer sexual services.
No, they don't offer sexual services. But they did accompany people of high status, right? Like the emperors, the shoguns of that time, which is like, we're not landowners.
Look at how beautiful these temples are. And in front of the temples, some sakura trees.
Wow. Look how beautiful this cherry tree is. What a shame that the day is so rainy. I just hit myself.
A bump.
I mean, I was walking like this. I was looking down, walking like this with my head facing down. And I hit something I thought I would pass under, but I hit my head and then my cheek. Look how swollen and red it is. What a nasty hit. We made a quick stop at a little cafe to wait out the rain a bit. And look how wonderful, we have a pink cherry tree right behind us. And Marbelis, I want to take this time to ask you a little bit, what do you think were your biggest challenges when you emigrated to Japan? When it came to adapting to this culture, to this society, which is also so different from ours?
Yes, well, what was hardest for me at first was obviously the language and also adapting to the culture here, which is very different from the one we know. For me to speak Japanese, since at first, as I told you, we were supposed to stay for 3 years, I didn't pay much attention to the language and it took me about 5 years to learn it. The hardest part was my husband traveled often, sometimes gone for 1 or 2 months, while I arrived with my 3-year-old daughter. She would get sick, I had to go to the hospital alone, and back then we didn't have the technology we have now. So I had to go with a dictionary to write down what I wanted to say, and it was really hard for me. And when I went to the supermarket too, instead of buying sugar, I would buy salt. And instead of buying oil, I would buy vinegar. And there were so many things that made me say, oh my God, I have to start studying the language, because honestly, I felt illiterate.
Of course. Why did your husband travel so much, and what opportunity brought you to live in Japan?
When he was in Venezuela, he worked as a guide for the Japanese people there in Canaima.
Okay.
So during a tour in Canaima, he met this tourism company from here in Japan, and they offered him a job because his Japanese was very good and his Spanish was also very good.
Exactly.
And they offered him the opportunity to be like the person in charge of Latin America at this company. Okay.
So basically now he leads or guides groups from Japan but in different countries in Latin America.
To Japanese people in different countries in Latin America, exactly.
Okay. And he obviously started out as a local guide in Venezuela for Japanese people, right? Yes, exactly.
They used to call him there. Well, he studied mining engineering.
Okay.
The opportunity to work with this came up, and we obviously weren't going to miss it.
I imagine Japanese people no longer go to Venezuela these days.
No, now for Japanese people, Venezuela is like a red zone. They don't get permission to enter Venezuela.
So it's like the government, yes, the government.
Japan tells them, if you go, It's at your own risk, so most or all of the travel agencies here don't recommend it and aren't selling packages to Venezuela.
Of course, they don't want to risk something happening and being held responsible because the government recommends not going. Well, hopefully those times will change and the Japanese will come back, because I really do remember. When I visited Roraima several times, I remember seeing groups of Japanese people walking around.
And Japanese people are good tourists.
Yes, yes. Marbelis, tell me now about your first jobs here in Japan. When did you start? How long after you arrived did you start working? What did you do? And how did you finally end up becoming a tour guide?
Yes, well, I've done all kinds of work. I've had to learn and reinvent myself every day. Since at first I obviously didn't speak the language, my first job was in a factory that made takeout meals.
Okay.
They're takeout meals.
Like the ones from 7-Eleven and similar places? Exactly.
And actually, the factory where I worked was the one that made the bento boxes for 7-Eleven.
Okay, yes.
Well, that was my first job. In a factory, the schedule was from 6 in the evening to 5 in the morning.
Wow, I mean 10 or 11 hours.
Yes, because my husband worked during the day, and when he came back, I had to work at night because our daughter was little.
Of course.
He had to stay with our daughter until 5 a.m. Then after he left, I took her to school. I had to go pick her up.
Wow.
I'd go out again when he returned.
After that job.
Yes, after that job, I started working as a waitress in a Spanish restaurant.
Okay.
Yes, it was really great there because I had Spanish and Argentine co-workers and Uruguayan co-workers. It was really cool to work there. After that, in that same building, it was the Cervantes building.
Okay.
There, well, the Japanese took Spanish classes and I took the course so I could teach Spanish. And then I started teaching as a Spanish teacher.
Okay. And how did you finally end up working in tourism?
Well, the idea of working in tourism came up because first my husband, since he also works in tourism, we always had the idea of starting something related to that. And I have a Mexican friend who also works in tourism here. And he said to me, Marbeli, why don't you try working in tourism? And he taught me. He hired me and he taught me what I know today. Then I took a course so I could also get a license and be able to lead the tours here in Japan. And well, that's where it all started. That's where it all began.
And how long have you been working as with Turisteando in Japan, right?
Turisteando en Japón, that's where Turisteando en Japón was born.
Okay. How long have you been offering tourist services here in Japan?
I've been guiding for 3.5 years.
Okay.
But Turisteando in Japan began last year. Oh.
Okay.
Before.
You used to work for?
I used to work for several agencies before.
Okay.
And now I focus on my own agency so I can grow little by little.
Nice. Well,
If you want to come to Japan, exactly?
If you want to come to Japan, you can do it through Turisteando, directly with Marbelis Dos Locos de Viaje. Or, well, if you want, you can also join one of our guided groups that we organize once or twice a year. Marble, I have a lot more questions, but I'm pretty hungry too, so let's go eat and I'll keep asking you over there.
Okay, let's go.
All right then. Here you can see another variety of the pink cherry tree, another species that's a bit more intense. The pink one, unlike the one across the street, which is a bit whiter, and the pink one is right in the center. It's really incredible. It covers the whole street, the entire street. Look.
All the way at the back. And if we turn. It's infinite. Wow.
And now a poem. Look at this gorgeous place we've come to. Here they sell guayo beef ramen. To explain how divine this place looks. But I will tell you how it tastes when I try everything on the menu. Wow. How is it?
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
It has something like a truffle pate.
And the flavor of the broth is really good.
And look, a glass of wine to celebrate. It turned out amazing. We're in Japan again. And probably, no, not probably, this is going to be the first of many trips here in Japan. Of course, full of amazing things.
Cheers! Father, cheers.
It's great to be here with them. Everything they do is wonderful. We've experienced so much and still have much more to discover. So, take care of yourself.
Look, 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 look. Oh my God. Okay, love. In this video, you're going to be the official meat taster. Let's see if you can tell the difference between the most expensive and the cheapest one.
I don't know which one is the most expensive and which one is the cheapest.
All right, try it and we'll see.
I was supposed to add salt, but even without salt, it melts in your mouth, super tender. It's a 10 out of 10, smell it.
Now I'm going for this one.
And now let's go with this one.
Very good.
Very good.
But you can definitely tell the difference.
Yours is more premium, right?
It's smoother.
It melts quickly in your mouth.
It's much softer, but that's what makes it so good.
Oh my God, travelers, what amazing food. Honestly, it was a little bit expensive. Valor and I ended up paying 20,000 yen, which is about $150.
You need to see this store. It's so you. Look. It's all solid colors. Look how beautiful it is on the outside. Ah!
Myself, you see? Everything, white or black t-shirts, spectacular. All solid colors. Fan. Fan, 12,000 yen, which would be about $85. A white t-shirt. Oh my God. Japan can be as affordable as it is expensive. I'm telling you, the best ramen I've had so far, which wasn't Wagyu beef, it was pork and all that, cost me $10. The best ramen I've tried in Japan is in Tokyo. And this ramen for the two of us with a glass of wine was 20,000 yen, which is like, what? $160, $150 between the two of us. With my 150 grams of meat and Valeri's 100 grams of higher grade meat. Expensive. That's why I say there are many options. We eat a fancy meal like that about once every 3 or 4 days, and the rest of the time we try to eat economically. And that's how we balance out the average daily expenses. Next up, we're arriving at the Kiyomizu-dera temple. Excuse my fluent Japanese, but it's a really spectacular temple. The number of pink cherry trees all around is amazing. Look at that one over there. No, that's wonderful. And one special feature is that its balcony is made entirely of wood, but without using any nails. They didn't use nails to fit the wood pieces together. I imagine they made cuts and fitted them, but not a single nail. So Pablo here didn't hammer in a single nail. Look at this feature that's very common in temples here in Japan. They're little wooden plaques that people can buy and write their wishes on. Look, for example, this one is in Spanish. Happiness, and they write the date when they wrote it. Here, well, this one is much longer. And in theory, when all of these are filled up or at the end of the day, one of the people who works here collects them all and then burns them. Because the smoke that is generated, well, the burning of all these wooden plaques rises up to the kami, the gods worshipped by Shintoists, followers of the main religion here in Japan. And then they intercede so that the wishes you wrote there come true.
A fun fact.
Especially about this temple, is that there was a belief that if you jumped from that balcony you see over there down below and survived, then you could make a wish and the kami, the gods, would grant it to you. Honestly, I don't know what crazy person came up with that belief. The fact is that many people jumped and of course they didn't survive because it's really, really high. And then they had to impose a pretty formal ban and station a guard to make sure people didn't jump. And well, I don't want to say that it's forbidden to jump because it always has been. But beliefs can be so crazy, especially religious ones, right? Marvel, right now I want to talk about one of the topics I'm most passionate about in every country I visit, and that's money. How much money do you need to live? What are the minimum wages? And if minimum wages are also the average salaries? If that's enough to live on, how many hours people work, basically everything related to working life here in Japan. And let's start with the most basic. What is the minimum wage?
The minimum wage in Japan is between 160,000 and 180,000 yen per month.
Okay, that would be about $1,100 to $1,200 approximately.
Yes, and rent on the outskirts of Tokyo costs about 50,000 yen.
That would be about $300 approximately.
Yes, $300.
Wow, I expected it to be more.
On the outskirts of Tokyo?
But that's for a room or a whole apartment. Exactly.
Talking about a room with everything together. Bed?
Kitchen?
Bathroom?
Very small. If you want something bigger, it can cost you 70,000 or 80,000 yen. And if you have a family, it goes up to 100,000, of course.
The rent.
Okay, and this is outside of Tokyo.
Outside of Tokyo?
How much money do you usually spend on food? Because I've noticed that here, well, people don't really cook at home that much.
Yes, as you can see here, eating out is very affordable. I mean, you can have a good bowl of ramen for 900 yen.
Exactly.
That would be about $7.
Yes.
And it's cheaper to eat out than at home.
Okay.
But groceries for a family, well, there are 3 of us. We spend about 60,000 yen a month on food.
Okay, that would be about $300 or $400 approximately.
Yes.
And for other utilities, like for example, electricity, water, well, electricity, gas, I don't know. Phone, I don't know.
Yes, you also spend about $300 or $400 on utilities.
For all of them or for each one?
For all of them.
Okay, yes, I mean...
It's like electricity is one of the most expensive utilities there is.
Okay.
Yes, for me, for example, in winter when we use heating, our bill can come to 25,000 yen, which would be, yes.
Like $160, $170, yes, for electricity. Okay. And then water and gas add about another $100.
Yes, more or less, more dollars.
Do you think so, Marbelis? Or maybe when you worked, I don't know, at the factory, I imagine you earned minimum wage there, right?
Yes, I was paid by the hour.
Oh, you were paid by the hour for your work.
Yes, hours of work.
Okay.
And it was 1,600 yen per hour.
Okay. 1,600 yen is about $10 per hour approximately, yes. And when you had that salary, at the end of the month, did you have any ability to save or pretty much nothing? Honestly?
Well, at that time, I only worked 4 times a week. So yes, I did have some left because we combined my husband's salary, which was more than the minimum wage.
Exactly.
Plus mine, exactly.
Then yes.
We still had a little left to save.
Okay.
But for one person, it's fine. I mean, the minimum wage here is enough if you know how to manage it.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're just getting by.
Exactly, I mean...
You can't afford any luxuries?
Exactly, that's important, since the minimum wage is at least enough to cover basic needs. It's a starting point for independence, as I know Japanese people value becoming independent at a young age.
Japanese people are very independent. Even children as young as 6 go to school on their own.
Wow, your daughter went to school alone at 6? Yes.
It was really hard. Oh, sorry, it was really hard for me, but yes, I had to let her go.
Wow, and how did that feel? Because I know in Venezuela we're very overprotective mothers.
I'm an overprotective mom. I said I'd let her go, but she didn't know I'd secretly follow her to make sure she got there safely.
Okay, sure.
She finally told me, "Mom, don't do it, you embarrass me."
And I... Wow, well, you can imagine how safe it is here in Japan with kids going to school by themselves at 6 years old. I want to discuss that too, Marbelis, but let's keep exploring first. I want you to think and now tell me about the biggest differences or cultural shocks you had, whether it was in raising your children. Or, for example, I've noticed that people here are very quiet and we Latinos are very loud. So, at least for me as a tourist, that's been a shock. But I want you to go ahead, think about it, and I'll ask more questions soon. I'm truly fascinated by the visit to this temple. I 100% recommend it. Don't miss it if you come to Japan, well, specifically to Kyoto. And now we're going to visit a pagoda that's completely free. The entrance fee for this temple was 500 yen, which is about $3, so it's definitely worth the price. And to go to the pagoda, I'll show you the name here on the screen when we get there. So you don't have to pay anything at all, just, well, hope you get a little lucky with the crowds because it gets pretty crowded. That's how we went on our first visit, and we'll go again this time, but look how beautiful the sky is. Look, those colors are wonderful. Even though it rained on us today, well, it's cleared up quite a bit now. And I think the camera doesn't do justice to the real-life colors. What I'm seeing with my eyes looks 10 times better than what I'm seeing through the little camera screen. Travelers, we left the pagoda at dusk. And honestly, we were very tired and hungry, so we decided to return to Osaka tomorrow. We continue with the video, finding out what life is like in Japan. But I didn't want to miss showing you this all-you-can-eat Japanese grill, because this is what everyone eats here. And also, look at our great friend Yusuke. I'm sure those of you who watched our first videos from Japan 2 years ago met him because we made a video showing him, but he's a Japanese guy who loves Venezuela. How many times have you been to Venezuela? 5?
5 times, yes. I'm going back in a month.
Well, Venezuela, let's put this in parentheses. His wife is Venezuelan.
But the world's most beautiful. That's the only reason I'm going.
Clearly, you haven't visited Venezuela's best landscapes.
No, not yet.
Obviously, you've seen Venezuela's best landscapes, that's true.
Every day, everywhere, yeah.
Well, of course, he speaks amazing Spanish. Yes, better than you guys. Better than you guys. How do you say Marco in Japanese? Dude, oh no, you can't do that. Okay. Well, you know, dude, okay. Enjoy your meal. We're really hungry, and the thing about all-you-can-eat places here in Japan is that they give you 1 hour to eat. So, you literally have to stuff yourself because it's really cheap. 4,000 yen is about $25, and it's literally all you can eat in 1 hour. So Valerie is glaring at me because I said stuff yourself. At all-you-can-eat places, you have to make it worth the price, right? Valerie eats very little, so I have to eat for both of us. All right, that's it, bye. See you tomorrow. I'm really hungry and very tired, that's it. Konnichiwa, how are you? On our second day of adventure in Kyoto. Look, we came to the Golden Pavilion, also known as Kinkakuji Temple. This is one of the places that I would say is a must if you come to Kyoto. First of all, because of its beauty. Secondly, because it's like a hybrid temple. If you look, it mixes one level like a palace, another level in a samurai style, and the third level like a Zen temple. And here, well, emperors and royalty were received in the past. What you see in gold is literally gold. It's covered with gold leaf. It's not painted, it's not anything else, it's real gold. And the visit is really nice. Unfortunately, it's raining a lot right now. I mean, look at how many umbrellas everyone has. But, well, it's a gentle rain, so I can even go without an umbrella and not get soaked. This is one of the 2 stops we're going to make today. And of course, keep finding out what life is like in Japan. I want to stop for a moment to tell you a bit about a rather dark story of this temple. What you're seeing here is actually a replica of the original. Back in 1950, there was a monk who was obsessed with this place. He was a novice monk, just about 20 or 22 years old, and he had a severe stutter. I mean, it was really hard for him to speak. And that made him feel like the world saw him as ugly. On the contrary, he thought the temple was beautiful. He thought it was the most perfect work he had ever seen. And that made him feel worse. So, in his mind, because honestly he had mental problems, he said he had to destroy everything that was beautiful so he wouldn't feel so ugly. And in the early morning of a day in July 1950, he literally reduced it to ashes. But this temple dates back to 1397. In other words, a history of more than 600 years was burned by a completely crazy monk. The worst part is the story doesn't end there. When they questioned the mother to see if her son had mental problems or if what he did was a completely rational act, well, she was too ashamed. She said she never imagined her son could do something like that, and when she left the interrogation, she went to a train station and jumped. Literally, I mean, just imagine the drama of this place. They caught the guy, though he tried to end his life. He failed and got 7 years in jail, but was released early after they found he had mental issues, so he was sent to a psychiatric hospital. He eventually died in 1956 from tuberculosis. Crazy, right? So what you see here is an exact replica, but the original was completely burned in 1950. Either way, it's worth the visit. Look, even with rain, this place looks spectacular. And if you come when it's not raining and it's calm, you can see the reflection of this wonderful temple in the lake. Now let's continue our visit through Japan. Today's been pretty good, quite rainy though. So a very important recommendation, if you come during the pink cherry blossom season, which is between the end of April and the beginning of May, is to buy an umbrella. And don't bring shoes that can get damaged by water. Exactly. There are many umbrellas, but the most, let's say, famous ones here in Japan are those you see there, which are transparent. Because they're also beautiful. I mean, the raindrops falling on the umbrella and all that. Take a picture, look, next to a pink cherry blossom tree. That looks spectacular. As for me, I have a little blue one, but with the advantage that it folds up really small, while those umbrellas have a really long handle. And then it's hard to fit it in your bag or something like that. Whereas these ones do fold up really small. I mean, we were just saying, can you imagine if it became popular to go to Venezuela during the time when the araguani trees are in bloom? Because it's truly wonderful. I mean, also going through the mountains and seeing all those yellow trees is spectacular. Everything in bloom, it's just incredible. And look at this craziness.
We need to buy more araguani trees.
This is the peak season in Japan. More than Christmas, New Year's, summer vacation, or any other time, this is Japan's most expensive and busiest season, cherry blossom season. So, well, now you know. If you have a limited budget, come at another time. Or if you want to come, let's say at a lower cost, choose another time. But late April and early May, you already know it's more expensive, especially for accommodations and flights, because in the end, food is the same. I've already mentioned to you several times that you can eat very cheaply or you can eat very expensively. But accommodations get much more expensive. And above all, if you want to go to any of the additional attractions, you have to book well in advance. We wanted to go, for example, to a museum called Team Labs, which is all about lights, mirrors, and so on. It's beautiful. That's it. There's nothing left since we didn't book ahead. We'll return another time, but everything needs to be reserved at least 2 or 3 weeks in advance, or earlier if possible. Marbe, yesterday with so many things going on, we didn't continue with the questions. But I think I've already given you plenty of time to think about what you consider to be the biggest culture shocks you faced, whether good or bad, here in Japan, or things that made you say, wow, this culture is so different from ours, for example, in this or that aspect.
Of course, Well, for me, the biggest culture shock I had was obviously the language. It was really hard for me to learn the language. For me, since I thought I was going to go to Venezuela in 3 years,
Of course.
I didn't focus much on studying Japanese, and then it took me 5 years to learn it.
Wow.
Another thing is that Japanese people are very reserved. Yes, I have had to work with Japanese people at work. They are very friendly, but when I run into them outside, they don't even say hello to me, like they don't know me.
Wow, yes.
I mean, it's like on that level. So for me, it was a bit shocking. Well, because Venezuelans are very cheerful.
We're very friendly.
Very friendly. And here I sit on the train and the person next to me doesn't even look at me. I can't even talk, well, on the train because it's not legally forbidden, but it's definitely frowned upon.
It's part of their culture to be quiet in public spaces.
Yes. So for me, one of the culture shocks was really that about how reserved people are.
Regarding raising your daughter, you already told me that, well, you used to follow her because at 6 years old they already go to school by themselves. And I know that for us, well, as parents wanting to protect our children, it's hard to give them that kind of freedom, but what else? I mean, what do you think was the toughest thing? Or what do you think was something that made you say, wow, they're really advanced here when it comes to raising or educating the kids at school?
Something I've really liked here in Japan is that the education in Japanese schools is very good and the schools are public. The government assigns you a school depending on your location, whichever is closest to you. And in schools, children are taught from a very young age about the importance of taking care of and maintaining their space. Here, the children are responsible for cleaning the schools.
How so?
They divide themselves into groups. In the classroom, a group is assigned. For example, this group is going to clean the bathrooms. This other group cleans the hallway.
Wow.
It tidies up the classroom.
I mean, even cleaning the bathrooms.
I've had to go, and they definitely leave them very clean.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know if you know that in Japan, to enter houses, you have to take off your shoes. In schools, they use wabaki. Wabaki are little white shoes that you can wear inside the school. And these, I mean, my daughter would take them and bring them back clean. Because inside the school, they had to clean it, and they kept it very clean.
Okay, they need to bring their shoes and wabaki to school and change into them there. Yes.
They change into them there?
Like slippers, something like that.
Yes, like slippers inside the school, okay?
Okay, so that everything is super spotless.
Yes. And they are also the ones who serve the food themselves at lunchtime.
Okay, yes.
There. A group is also assigned, for example, this group will serve the food this week.
Okay, so
on Fridays, they give you a white uniform that you have to take home, wash it, iron it, and bring it back on Monday so you can use it. Then on Friday, the next Friday, they give it to the next child who has to use it, and the same thing happens again, right?
Of course.
You have to clean it.
All the chores rotate, so everyone does a bit of everything.
And besides that, they teach the kids a lot of art, embroidery. I mean, the kids know how to sew, the kids know how to carve wood.
Okay.
They teach music, all kinds of instruments.
Wow.
Yes, that's in elementary school, right? In elementary school, they teach you so you can be independent in life.
Okay, so
I think that's really good in schools.
I mean, it's not like schools were split into science or arts tracks like they were in Venezuela, but here in all the schools, they teach you at least a little bit of everything, and crafts, they prepare you.
They teach you how to cook too. There's a moment when they teach you about different types of food. Here, kids really like making curry.
Okay, yes, yes.
So they get excited because they have to bring the ingredients and then they start peeling the potatoes. I mean, they prepare the food themselves, and well, I really like that.
How amazing, how amazing. And is there something you consider not so positive, or maybe a cultural shock, maybe not with the kids, but in general life, that you would say, look, I don't really like this about Japan?
Well, what I think is that Japanese people, as I said, are very reserved.
Yes.
And here right now during the Sakura season, it's the most anticipated. It's the one they... Well, yes, they wait for it all year because it's an ephemeral beauty. It doesn't last long and they've appreciated it for a long time, but it's also a very sad time. Why? Because during this time, the rate increases a lot.
Okay. And why is that? I mean, is there a specific reason?
They say that in April, the new fiscal year begins and classes also start, schools and universities begin. So when Japanese people don't achieve their goal, they see it as a dishonor, like, yes, a shame, and they don't want to be an embarrassment to their family. So they decide to, in order to,
Well, end their problems by ending their own, exactly.
In order to end their problems. We currently have a very high suicide rate among children and teenagers aged 15, 16, and 17. Why? Because they don't get into a good university, or they don't get into secondary school.
Okay.
Here, high school is public as long as you have good grades.
Okay. If not, you have to pay for a private one.
Yes, you must pay, and it's costly.
Okay.
So they commit suicide out of shame over what both their friends and their parents will think.
Wow. Well, I had read a little about the forest, like people would go to that place to take their own lives by hanging themselves from a tree or something like that. But, well, I haven't gone, obviously.
No, that forest is known because people go there, because here too on the train tracks, the cost that is generated is charged to the family.
Oh, okay. So obviously they don't do it to avoid causing more problems for the family.
And also, if it happens in a building you are renting, that building loses its value, and then the family also has to pay for that. That's why the forest became so popular, because people go there and no one complains, of course.
Of course it doesn't cause any monetary loss or devaluation.
It doesn't delay others, because, for example, if you jump in front of a train and the whole line stops, just imagine Tokyo.
With so many people?
It turns into chaos. And also something I don't like, and well, I'd like to mention it too. It's that children from a very young age, the pressure from parents is so great that they already start preparing them for the exam they're going to take to get into high school, since they start elementary school.
And that exam is when they turn like
I was saying, when they turn 15 or 16, that's when they commit suicide.
Since they're 5 or 6 when school starts, they're already being prepared for that exam.
Preparing them, and it's that pressure. So among the moms, there's like a competition. And what classes does your child go to?
Of course.
Does your child take this class? Of course. Where are they enrolled? Swimming, this one or that one? Honestly, I told my daughter, if you get in, great. If not, that's okay. You do your best, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get into the school you wanted.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, I have a lot more questions, but I also want to show you this beautiful place we're in and keep exploring a little because we're about to go to a very special place. Wow, look at how spectacular this bamboo forest is. Look.
Wow.
And look at this beauty. No, how incredible. I'm going to tell you something that's a reality about coming to Japan. You have to be patient, you have to know how to deal with crowds. It's practically impossible to come to Japan without crowds unless you wake up early every day to visit these places. The early morning may only give you 15 minutes before it gets crowded. I'm telling you this because on my previous visit, I went to one of the temples. It's called Fushimi Inari Taisha, which is the one with the torii, the super famous red arches. And I went twice. The first time there were crowds, the second time I got up early. And the early morning only gave me 10 minutes of photos alone before everyone else arrived. That means you can't visit all the places without people because if you get up early for one, it's already late for the next. So it's kind of like going to Disney. It's literally like going to an amusement park in the United States. It's always going to be crowded. Even if you buy the fast pass, even if you go during a season when not many people go, there are still a lot of people. Maybe a bit less or more, but there will always be many people. And I want to show you the beauty of this forest. Even with all these umbrellas around, in fact, let me show you more clearly. Look at this. With the beauty
of the
bamboo forest. And look over there. Up. But even with all that, with all the crowds, you learn to enjoy the beauty of the places. So if you come to Japan, get used to it. It's like telling me, look, I'm going to India. In India, there are crowds. Obviously, totally different from those in Japan, but still crowds. So keep in mind, you can still enjoy it a lot. Learn to look for those little spots, to look in the places people don't usually look, where people don't usually go. And you really can find little spots that feel like paradise, even in Japan, that are empty, but most of the most viral and beautiful places obviously have thousands, if not millions of people. Marbe, we're almost at the end of this video. I really enjoyed learning a bit more about Japanese culture with you, Marbelis, and also hearing about your experiences as a Venezuelan, having moved to Japan and everything that moving involves. But before we finish, I want to ask you a few questions. And the first one is, what do you like most about life in Japan?
What I like the most is the safety. Going out on the streets and, well, not having that fear that something might happen to me. Sending my daughter to school too and knowing that she will come back safely. That, I've always said, is something that is priceless.
Totally. Also, well, I feel that when you left Venezuela, the issue of safety wasn't really there, right?
I arrived traumatized by several experiences I had in Venezuela. So that gives me a lot of peace and tranquility. And well, another thing is that people are very respectful. Japanese people are very respectful, and that's something you really learn a lot from living here, from the Japanese way of life.
Is there anything you dislike or would change if possible?
That they would be more cheerful. I really like it. I mean, I'm very friendly, and it's been really hard for me to make friends here in Japan. I wish they were more cheerful, happier, that they could handle things better. If they had that, they would be number one.
10 out of 10?
Yes.
Can you see yourself returning to Venezuela to live?
It's my dream.
Really?
My dream is to go back to Venezuela and buy myself a little house near the beach and stay there. To be with my family, with my friends. Most of my friends aren't there, but my dream is to go back to my country. Here in Japan, I don't feel like I'm part of it. Even though I love Japan, I always have that emptiness of wanting to go back to my country.
Of course. And when was the last time you went?
4 years ago.
Did you notice any changes since you left, or was everything mostly the same until 4 years ago? At least in Ciudad Bolívar. In Ciudad Bolívar,
honestly, every time I've gone, I've seen it get worse each time. The power would go out, the water too, the houses looked abandoned because people couldn't afford to paint or fix them. The streets were full of potholes. And besides, the last time I went was really sad because I went to say goodbye to my dad. My dad passed away a week after I got back here to Japan.
Wow. Wow. And yet, do you still dream of going back?
I still dream of going back because it's my country, and I think all of us Venezuelans who are abroad don't feel complete.
Of course.
You always want to be in your own country?
Well, I'm going to end this video here because it's making me nostalgic. And I want to thank you not only for preparing this crazy travel tour for us, but also tell all of you watching this video that if you want to come to Japan, Marbelis, the best, really, she organizes absolutely everything for you from start to finish and adapts to your needs. We specifically told her, look, this is a crazy group, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and so on. And she prepared the itinerary for us in detail, so you can do it too. Thank you. You can message her on Instagram, which we've shown several times here on the screen. And I hope that someday, sooner rather than later, your dream comes true and you can return to Venezuela. You can buy your small house right on the beach or very close by Marbelis.
And be close to your family.
And above all, being close to family, because honestly, one of the things you miss most about Venezuela is being close to your loved ones, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you again, Marbelis, for everything, and thank you all for staying until the end of this video. If you have any questions about everything we've been talking about, or any other questions about life in Japan, about the culture of this country, or any questions at all, if you think of anything, leave it in the comments. I'll read them. If I don't know the answer, I'll ask Marbelis, and I'll be answering you there, clearing up doubts that many of you might have as well. So that's it. See you another day in a new video.
By the way, travelers, I couldn't end the video without showing you what I told you about.
It looks spectacular during the day, but at night, look at this beauty.